Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah.
Today on the show, we have a guest. She's been the top 1% of realtors for 20 years. She averages 100 homes a year. Amazing. And on top of that, she's the author of 4 best-selling books focusing on digital marketing. And she's been featured everywhere. Inman, Wall Street Journal, NBC. I don't know how she does it. I'm thrilled to welcome Krista Mashore. Krista, thanks for taking the time out.
Thanks for having me. Very, very happy to be here. Appreciate it.
All right. So there's a lot for us to talk about because you are a very well-rounded guest. Let's just get into, normally we talk a little bit about how you developed your skills, but let's just jump right into it. And I think we can fill in the blanks. Look, you focus on, you're a coach, you're a little bit of everything. But you do have these 4 books on digital marketing. And I think when we think about marketing, or especially digital, coming out of this lockdown pandemic, that's a big thing. What is working for agents right now?
I love video and social media. So that's absolutely what I use my focus on, is just marketing digitally online. And so, any kind of social media is great. Using video that's where it's at, in my opinion.
And how, in what way? Like, what does that mean to you? What does that look like?
Well, I mean, the idea is for me to become, the community market leader of my area. And I do that by basically creating videos about anything and everything you can imagine in my community. It doesn't just have to be real estate, right? So obviously real estate is important to create video content with, like doing market updates and talking about, seller tips and buyer tips and certain neighborhoods and all of those things we do videos on. But we also do them on what are the best local hotspots and where's the best place to go for happy hour. And then we take those videos and we run ads behind them. And my specialty is Facebook, so we use Facebook ads. We run Facebook ads behind them, and then we target our local community, and then we retarget them, and we create content, just so that we cannot be forgotten or not be missed. That's what I mean.
That's good. So when you say community market leader, so I'm in San Diego, for example, and obviously we teach agents to niche down, right? You can't necessarily be the San Diego market expert, right? But you can be the La Mesa, right? So community. So when you do video and you talk about all the hotspots, are you targeting a specific zip code or neighborhood and then saying, hey, this is the best taco shop, in the Rolling Hills Estates area. This is check out this park, right? And this, here's all the amenities. And then you run ads behind that. So if somebody is looking for a house in La Mesa, or amenities in La Mesa, and they say, where are the parks? And they come up with a video of Krista Mashore, right, outlining this dog park, right? Is that the sort of thing, or how can you unpack a little more granular what you're doing?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we do. So I live in an area, it's called East County, and within East County there are about 5 different cities. But so I focus on mainly one city out of those 5 cities. So just like you're saying, you live in San Diego, but you're talking about Mesa. And I know exactly where you live, right? Because it's probably around a 10, 15, maybe 20-mile radius. Would you say that's how big Mesa is? La
Mesa's pretty, no. I mean, in San Diego, I don't know. I maybe 5 miles at max, but 5 miles, that's longer than people think, right? Like 5 miles in a circular direction. That's a big area, but maybe it's like 3, but man, in the 3-mile area, there's thousands and thousands of houses, right? All averaging, at least 850 to, 2.3.
Okay, so very similar to where we're at, pretty much every neighborhood in the world, probably, right? So what I do is I focus on Brentwood, because in Brentwood there's around 180,000 people that are in that area, and it's totally manageable. Like I can absolutely manage doing a ton of video content in Brentwood, and I don't just pick one specific neighborhood, although I do have neighborhoods that I specialize in. One of them being neighborhoods called Deer Ridge and Shadow Lakes. And so in those specific areas that I'm trying to dominate, I'll talk about the school scores and the restaurants
Mm.
and the dog parks and the types of homes and the styles of homes and homes that are pending. And on top of that, I do, old school type of marketing where I send my what's happening in the neighborhood and that kind of thing, as well as the content. So, yes, we do get that granular as far as the marketing goes, but I'm also just like doing specific market updates, like what's happening in Brentwood right now, right? Not
Mhm.
just certain areas. But the fastest way we found for someone to really start dominating, especially if you're in a new area, is doing exactly what you said. And that is starting in one area and then kind of going as deep as possible before you go wide, right?
Right,
Like
right.
picking a neighborhood. And this is what I started about 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I started creating, or maybe 9 years ago, maybe 10 now. Gosh, time is going by quickly, but probably about 10 years ago, I decided I want to really start dominating Deer Ridge and Shadow Lakes. And so I started doing just what we're talking about, creating as much content as possible about anything and everything having to do with Deer Ridge and Shadow Lakes until I started dominating that area. And then I just started to expand on it. And so then I would go outside of Deer Ridge and Shadow Lakes within Brentwood and do other restaurants in Brentwood and areas in Brentwood. And now it's like I'm just kind of one of the main people in Brentwood. Um, and then we do the same thing sort of on a much, much smaller basis in Oakley. Oakley's just it's a smaller town. And we don't dominate the whole thing. But we still have a little bit of presence there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to do this, and again, I know you part of what you do is you coach other agents. So I think this is what I'm hearing, right? So go very, there's what is it, 1 mile wide or an inch deep or 1 mile deep and an inch wide. And I think you're saying go a mile deep and an inch wide, and then once you sort of, I guess, have some presence, whatever that means, right? I think people would classify that in different ways, but once you have some presence, then maybe reach out into it. Um, if as you like, where do people start? So if I'm going to go a mile deep and an inch wide, and I'm going to focus on La Mesa, for example, so I'm going to go and I'm going to try to create as much content as I can, right? I'm going to focus on schools. That's a big topic, right? I'm going to outline the schools and their scores and all that stuff. I'm going to create a video and say, hey, look, if you're looking for a house in La Mesa, here's Fuerte Elementary, right? One of the best schools in the city. I create that video and then I'm put it on Vimeo. I'm going to put it on YouTube. How do you, other than just organically being found, which can be hard, right? I mean, because we live in, there's oceans and oceans of content being generated every minute. How do you surface that to the people who live in La Mesa? Is it just all you create it, you let it sit there, and you just wait for people to find you organically?
No, so organic is almost impossible to do, right? So, I mean, and YouTube is wonderful. I love YouTube as well. We put all of our videos on YouTube. We put them on our website because we're trying to get search engine optimization. And
Mm.
obviously, since Google, the number one search engine, is owned by YouTube, it's important to put all of your videos onto YouTube as well as on your website because you're getting SEO with both. But it's very hard to get organic traffic. So we create these videos just like you're saying. We go as deep as possible, not as wide as possible first. And then we take those video content, we upload them onto Facebook through the ads manager. We do not just boost because when you're just boosting, you're not able to have all the analytics that you want to see or the retargeting features and special ad audiences. You can't do any of that when you're just boosting. So you're going to want to create an ad in the ads manager in Facebook. And then you take that content, you say, okay, Facebook, put this in front of it's a 15-mile radius now, which I know seems like a lot, but you have to, because of the HUD, you have to do a 15-mile radius. You can't just do like, hey, a year and a half ago, you could just say, I just want people just in this little La Mesa area. And you can kind of get much more granular as far as who you want it to see. But what happens is now I'm telling Facebook, put me in front of all of the people in a 15-mile radius. So for me, it'd be in everybody in Brentwood. And then I can see who's interacting and engaging with me, and then I can create more content similar to what they originally were interested in, and then retarget and send them more. So let me give you a good example of
Yeah.
exactly how we get seller leads right now. Obviously, everyone wants sellers right now because they low inventory, and it's hard working with buyers. So we will identify a problem in the market. So a problem in the market right now is limited inventory, but I don't want buyers, I want sellers. So I will try to figure out what is a problem that sellers are having. Well, sellers are having a problem right now with inventory, right? So they're afraid to sell because they'll be homeless. They're afraid to sell because they're not going to be able to find the home of choice. They're afraid to sell. Like I said, they don't need somewhere to go. So we created over the past like 5 months. I'll do like an eight video series on selling your home with limited inventory and things that you can do as a seller with the way the market is right now. So we're specifically targeting sellers. I can see what is who's watching that. So if somebody watches like 75% or more or of a 2 to 3 minute video or even of a 1 minute video, right, on selling, they're probably thinking about selling, or they know somebody who's thinking about selling, or maybe they're just interested in the market. But if they're watching that and I can continue to send them more, right, then I know that they're interested probably in selling. So what we do is we'll create 3 different videos, target people about the problem, which right now is limited inventory. And then at the end of them watching three videos, we'll say, hey, would you like to download this seller's guide, or would you like to get a home evaluation? And then when they say, oh, yeah, I want a home evaluation, then we'll give them a home evaluation. But we don't start with, would you like a home evaluation? We start with, and this is a strategy that we use for any type of marketing campaign that we're putting out there. We start with, hey, what's the problem? Now you're watching these videos and this content. Now I'm going to start targeting you based upon what you're doing, right? You're watching 75% or 100% of this video, then I know you're thinking about it. So now my activities are going to be different from someone that's in that workflow than, let's just say, me putting out content to everyone, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, it completely makes sense. I completely understand, and I want to make sure that everybody listening understands this, because what you're saying is, this is one of those things where, what you're saying is, it's not new. I mean, people have been doing this for a long time. It's not necessarily difficult to do, but the problem is, right? People hear it and they know it works, but they just don't do it. And for the people who go, yeah, I'm willing to put in the work, but I just don't quite understand it. I'd like to dig in just a little bit more. So, okay, so we're going to create a video. You're going to create a video on the problems of low inventory as a seller, right? Whatever that might be. You put it on Facebook. You're going to target a whole geographic area like La Mesa, and then people watch it. Now, people are going to click on that ad. When I click on the video, I see your ad and I click on it, what happens? Am I like, where do you take me? What happens? Like, how do you surface up or serve up the next 2 videos prior to making me the home valuation offer?
So that's the beauty of why you don't just want to do digital, organic content, right?
Right.
And this isn't just Facebook, you can do this on other platforms, but I believe that Facebook is like the number one best way that you can generate any kind of lead. I don't like even calling them leads, but sellers or buyers from any other platform. Facebook is the number one. It's the biggest platform, the most amount of people are on it, and it dominates everything, right? So when I create a video, I can tell who's watching it. So you can say, okay, Facebook, the people that you showed this first video to, send them another video to those same people, right? Also, while you're doing that, find me more people. It's called a special ad audience that you think, based upon their behavior of what the algorithm is seeing what they're doing, find me more people that are just like this group of people that watch this first video. Okay. So now I'm seeing who's watching. I'm saying, hey, find me more people that are going to do the same type of activity. Then send them another video. Then I do the exact same thing again. Send them another one. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to really hyper focus and figure out who's really truly interested, probably in the topic of the original video right now being, hey, the shortage of inventory and being homeless, right? After they've watched those 3 videos, because I've specifically targeted these people and told Facebook to find me more of them, to keep putting my content back in front of them. The idea is that you're continually saying, put me back in front of these people. Make sure they're seeing me again, seeing me again, seeing me again. Then I'll say, great, now that you've watched 3 videos, I don't say that, but that's sure. What's happening. Right. Would you like a home analysis? Yes, I'd like a home analysis. Great. You want a home analysis? Perfect. After they request a home analysis, we hand deliver a home analysis to them. We do a Loom or a Zoom video going over the home analysis. As we're dropping the home analysis off, we do a bomb video telling them, hey, check your email. We're reviewing it. And also check your email for a digital copy of our book, The Savvy Seller. And I'm also dropping off a copy of the book, The Savvy Seller, at the same time. then they're also getting retargeted. So now they're getting zapped, which means that I'm taking them off of Facebook now, putting them onto my CRM. They're labeled as a CRM seller drop off. So now I know who they are. I'm tagging them appropriately. Now they're in my database, and now bi-monthly I can then send them more educational content. But on top of that, I'm also doing this next series of things. Now that they've watched 3 videos on selling, requested a market analysis, gotten a market analysis dropped off, email, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm also then sending them testimonial videos through Facebook. I'm saying, okay, Facebook, now for the same group of people, now send them testimonial videos. Now send them a video that shows the marketing that I do. We also send those same things through, because it's just following them on Facebook, basically, right? Then we also send those same things, testimonial video and marketing videos through our database, because now we have their contact information because they requested a CMA, right? So last year, this one strategy, we closed, and we closed more than this, but 48 of our 90 closings from sellers came from this exact strategy that I just told you about, right? So it was 48 seller transactions resulting in like $740,000 in commissions from that one strategy.
Hold on. So that's amazing. That's and everybody listening should that's all they should hear is go, okay, 750 grand from the strategy. Those 48 people, were those 48 people that were not in your database prior to this? These were literally.
Oh, yeah. Yes, all from this Facebook strategy. New people that watched the videos, requested their hands, said, I want a market analysis. And yes, all new business.
Wow.
We're not getting much repeat business. I don't know about you, but people are like moving out of California, man. Everyone's moving everywhere but here.
Right. I hear you. So yeah. So again, there's not a whole lot of magic there, right? There's just a little bit of work. Let me go back. Your videos. So you create a video. Let's say you're talking about parks, right? You do that in 2019. And you follow this strategy, let's say in 2019, do you have a process of going back through those videos and saying Dog Park La Mesa best of 2021, right? Because a lot of times if you create something in 2019 and people understand, it just looks old, right? Like even in 2020, like it just looks old, right? Especially anything around real estate, if it's not brand new, it just seems outdated. Do you have a method for going through and keeping your content somewhat fresh or seemingly fresh?
So market updates are like that, right? But let's be realistic. So I could do a video series on, the XYZ neighborhood, okay? And pretty much as long as the restaurant hasn't closed down, that video can pretty much be evergreen for probably quite a while, right? So can anything about the neighborhood, the dog parks in the neighborhood, the things that there are to do. Those kind of things can go evergreen for probably 3, 4, 5, 6 years, honestly. And it doesn't need to say the date in there. So if for a niche, like if you're a niche, let's just say your niche is divorce. And like I encourage all my students to have multiple niches. So even if they don't like necessarily love working with people with divorce, but if I was to say, hey, are you thinking about going through divorce? And, you want to have it be as friendly as possible. And you want, for the kids, I've got solutions for you. Like if I'm specializing in working with people with divorce, I can create a series of 15 videos all around the divorce and selling real estate. And those videos can probably last me for a long time. Now, unless I completely change my hair color, and I have to do this. Like I used to have brown hair, and now I've got long blonde hair. So we're creating a ton of videos right now, so it looks more current. But a lot of it can be evergreen. Now, market updates are going to change, right? We do monthly and bi-monthly market updates. We do local market updates and national market updates. Those change all the time. And I want them to, so they see that I'm relevant. But a lot of this content can be created one time and they can sit there for quite a while. And even if you do a video right now that you put it out there, because every video is done for a different reason. For example, sometimes my videos are for me to nurture current, past, and future clients, right? Sometimes they're there for me to like specifically go after a specific niche, right? Depending on what my objective is of these videos that I'm creating, it will depend upon the length of the video and a lot of other things. But a lot of these videos you really can repurpose, and so I can create a video 6 months ago about selling in a competitive market. And those videos from 6 months ago, I could redo today and nobody would ever know that they'd forget. They'd forget they ever saw them. And we do that sometimes. There are times when we will use content from, like, I'm going on vacation or I don't have the time. I'll just recirculate content. We do funny videos like, seller beware, buyer beware, or, like that just make people laugh, and we could reuse those once a year. Like we reused this year's for Halloween. We reused last year's Halloween video this year for Halloween, and no one's like, "Oh, I already saw that video." They forget. I mean, how many times have
Sure.
you watched a movie where
Right.
you think
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, it's a brand new movie," right?
That's right. I saw it a couple of years ago. I totally forgot. Right. I mean, do
Yeah.
that. I 100% get that. Let me ask you, because you are good at this, right? Creating this content and presenting yourself, making yourself, the market leader, the community expert, let's say. And you've done this. I mean, you this seems to be like a main focus of yours, right? I have to believe your attempt to be the market or community expert is somewhat behind your four best-selling books, right? It's somewhat has to be a motivator in why you're featured in Inman and the Wall Street Journal in NBC, right? I mean, these are things that I'm assuming didn't just present themselves to you. It's something that you purposely went out and did and created to create this persona, right? To create this this Krista Mashore, the leader in X. For somebody who wants to do this, like, can you just start at the basic level? Just, you're a nobody, you just got your license and I'm going to start creating these videos and, it's going to work? Or, how much of this backup, credibility stuff that you've done should people focus on?
I love that you're saying this, because absolutely, yes, you can. We've taught this strategy to brand new agents in big cities and small cities that start within a year's time are beating out top producing agents. It's funny. I talk about this one of my students. Her name is Sue LaFave, brand new agent, had never sold a house before. She got nominated for her in her city as best realtor. Now, trust me, I know that sometimes they have these things where people are like, "No, vote for me for best realtor." She didn't want anyone to vote for her. She hadn't sold a house yet, so she wasn't trying to tell people to promote her and pick her as the best realtor. Because of her content and her videos that she was creating, Sue LaFave got voted best realtor. She just voxed me or sent me a message on Messenger about 2.5 weeks ago, and she said, "Krista, I just hit 6 figures in 4 months." Right. So in 4 months, the first quarter of the year, she did 6 figures in the past 4 months. So she was like, she was a brand new agent when she started. But the thing about her was that she kept doing it. She didn't stop when she didn't originally see the results. Right. She kept going. She kept going. She kept going. And most agents, they think that this is just going to, like, doing video content. It's a little harder. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It takes time. You've got to create the videos and all that. But the thing about this video content is that it's evergreen. And once you put it out there, it organically is going to work for you. I call it views while you snooze, right?
Right.
My video content is working for me while my competitors are doing open houses.
Right.
I mean, and even in my local community. So I'm speaking at Funnel Hacking Live on this year on this exact strategy. And Russell Brunson, the founder and creator of ClickFunnels, he's like known as the #1 digital marketer in the world. And he's having me speak in front of his large audience on this exact strategy. Like, what do you do before you bring somebody into your funnel, Krista? How do you drive your traffic? And this is it, because when you do this, when you create video content, people get to know you, like you, and trust you. They position you as the expert, and you're perceived that you're doing a lot of business. So that's why you could be a brand new agent or move to a brand new area. And if you start creating content, the perception is that you are busy and you're active and you're doing stuff. So because people perceive this and see this, what happens is that they look up to you and start respecting you. And there's something called a parasocial relationship. And what that is that when people see you on the other side of a TV or a screen or a video, they start to develop a one-sided relationship with you. That's like what we do with our characters on TV. We cry with them. We're happy with them. We're sad with them. Like, we think that we know them. We can't wait to watch, Handmaid's Tale, right? And we just are like, "Oh my gosh, you see what just happened to her?" Well, it's the same thing. Like I've had students that will show up to a listing appointment and people have their favorite candy on the counter and like they've never met these people before. I mean,
That's funny.
really, it's
That is
Tony
funny.
really. Julie Patterson, she's like, oh my God, I just want a listing presentation. And they had, red goldfish on the table because she always talks about it. She loves red goldfish. So these people are developing a relationship. And who do we work with? We work with people that we like and that we know and that we trust. And so I call it you're winning before you arrive. And I learned that term from Sharon Cervantes, one of my just dear friends. I love him. But
Stravaza,
when
Sharon Stravaza.
yeah,
Okay, yeah,
yeah, Sharon Cervantes.
yeah.
I can introduce you to him. He's
He's a
amazing.
good
But
friend of mine. I've known him for a long time.
oh yes, I love Sharon. So he's like, Krista, he always talks about winning before you arrive. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this strategy is all about winning before you arrive. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times over the and I'll say one more story in a second here, but how many times over the years where I'm sitting in my car and I see another top producer coming up and I'm waving at them, or when I'm leaving, they're in the car waiting. But I'll tell you, way, 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 way more often than not, I win that appointment. And it's because they've already kind of made the decision before they even called me. They already knew that they like me because
Right.
it's impossible for them not to be seeing me. So, when I create a video, we can get, I mean, gosh, just this past week, we showed that we had 18,600 engagements for the week on Homes by Krista. I pulled up because you can do the analytics on Facebook. I pulled up my competitors, one engagement, five engagements. I think one of them had 120, which is like, and I had 18,600. And it's that way every month. And we teach people how to do that. When you can create a video and you can see that you're getting 300, 500, 600 hours of watch time on every video that you're creating, because you're putting an ad spend behind it. And I'm not talking a ton. Usually we tell our people to start with around $300 a month on ad spend for their videos, but they very, very quickly see how, what it's doing for them. So they up it to 500, probably 500 is our average. Our top producers are doing around 1,000, maybe to $1,500 a month, but they're getting rid of Zillow. They're getting rid of all these other lead sources that they're paying for
Yep.
that are so hard to convert. And this strategy, I call it attract, connect, convert. It teaches you how to attract business and not chase it, how to connect with your community, but more importantly, how to convert. The conversions are so much easier because when you're calling people and they know who you are, or they're calling you and they're super excited to talk to you because they see you everywhere, it's a totally different business model. This is the exact business model that I've done in coaching. I mean, I've gone from not one person in coaching knowing who I was. Yes, locally, everyone knew who I was, but not, no one else knew who I was in the United States as a real estate person, right? But now all of a sudden I've got 4 best-selling books and we're doing over $1 million a month in real estate, people paying us to coach them from being a nobody 4 years ago, from this exact same strategy. And it's so much harder to do it nationally because your dollar does not go as high, right? So if I spend $1,000 nationally, like it's doing nothing for me, right? But if I spend $1,000 locally in just my little area, oh my gosh, it's like rocket fuel in your marketing business.
So when people, I mean, by the way, there's a ton there that you just talked about, right? And once we start to talk about creating videos, I think people go, oh, I think I can create a video, even though, right, they worry about what they're going to say and what they're going to look like and what the lighting is like. And, people can obsess for hours over the right placement and what they wear and all this garbage, right? That's the first thing. And then when you get to, learning about funnels, I have found that, here's my point. I think that action is so much more important, right? Doing something is so much more important than getting it right, right? And I think a lot of people focus on trying to get everything right, and then they don't do it, or they get everything right for one video when they could have done 6, right? And I think that also applies when it comes to funnels, right? I think there's so much to learn about funnels, and people are like, what is it, right? How does it work? And then they, right? And how do people keep it simple? Is it just, okay, I'm going to focus on La Mesa. I'm going to start to create as much content as I can. And by the way, right, like talking about dog parks and restaurants and, what new is happening in the school scores, right? That's all easy. That's in everybody's reach. I guess my question is, Krista, what holds people back, right? Because none of this is rocket science. None of this is hard. And really, none of this requires any special equipment, right? It's just a little bit of time, which we as agents, we should have. What gets in the way of people following this strategy or to even a small degree?
They get in their heads, right? If you ask 100 people if they like doing video, 99 of them will say no. They're afraid of what they look like, what people are going to think. Are they going to make a mistake? And right, I always tell people just be perfectly imperfect. No one likes perfection, anyways. And research shows that under like done up videos, I can't think of the name right now, but videos that are like all super polished and have tons of graphics underperform just a regular video.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of just doing it, right? Just start. Everyone's getting ready. Everyone's aiming, but no one's firing. You just got to fire. You just got to start. And I can tell you a really easy way to start. And this is a strategy that, I teach my students to do 10 video text messages a day, 10. And we've been teaching this for about 4 years now. And the average person, when they do this every day, 10 videos a day, where they just grab their cell phone, go through their contacts, people that are in their phone, go through friends of friends, who are their friends on Facebook, who are the friends of friends on Facebook, and they just find something that they've, let's just say you go on Facebook and it's like, oh, there's my friend John. John just took his son to the ballpark today. And I'm going to grab my phone and go, hey, John, it's Krista. I just saw that you just took, little Johnny to the ballpark. Looks like you guys had a great time. Good for you. Wasn't that awesome how they made the home run in the third quarter, whatever. Just wanted to say hi, let you know I was thinking about you, and hope you have a great day. I don't ask for business. I don't ask for referrals. I just acknowledge them. Or I go through my phone and I look through people like, hey, Tony, it's Krista. We haven't talked in a while. And you just came up on my phone in the contacts. And I just wanted to let you know, I was thinking about you. Hope you and the wife are doing well and just have an amazing day, period.
Right.
The average person pick up 2 new clients a month. We've had people pick up 6 and 8, I swear to God, just from this strategy. Now, most people pick up none because they won't do it, right? They'll do it once or twice and don't see anything. But if you do this every day, and it takes about 10 minutes a day, right? I can't say guarantee, but let's just cut that in half. Let's just say you pick up 1 new client in 30 days. What would 12 new closings do for your business in a matter of a...
would do for your life, right? Would do for your life. Forget your business. How honestly, like here in San Diego, right? Like 12 new listings. I mean, that could literally change somebody's life.
Absolutely. It would change somebody's life. And it'd give them financial freedom and so many different things. So it's not just about like, don't worry about, just start. All you need is a cell phone. Everyone has one of those. Mm-hmm. You don't need any fancy lighting. Just stand in front of a nicely lit window or, turn the lights on in the house. Make sure there's no underwear behind you and make sure the background's free, right? And there's not like a plane going overhead for the sound, and hit record. And don't watch it a million times. Just get it out there. And eventually you will get better and better. I always show this video of this girl named Isabel, and it shows her first video, and her sound was terrible, and you could barely hear her, and her confidence was terrible confidence. And then we showed one of her, 4 months later, and it was like graphics and confidence and happiness and leadership, and you couldn't even tell it was the same person, So, it was great. So.
I think the only problem. Sorry, I'm gonna talk about myself for a second. The only problem for me with if I did that, and I think you're gonna say this is a problem you want, but if I created 10 videos and sent them to people, that honestly would result for me, it would result in at least 8 phone calls. And the problem is 8 phone calls, those phone calls are going to add, and they're just going to be like, oh yeah, hey dude, I took my kid to Petco Park, and we beat the Padres beat whatever team 1, 2, 3, and that's that I would spend 20 minutes times 8 a day just catching up with people, and I've tried this before, and I'm like, God, I just don't have the time, and I don't really have the interest in catching up with 8 new people a day, right? It's just too much. I want to focus on my work.
Yes. But when you do this, though, you are still like you're focusing on people without having to take the time out, right? So it's not like you're going to get on a phone call and it takes 30 minutes of your time. It's like 1 minute, but it's still putting you in front of them. No like and trust. They're reminded about you. What happens is they're like, oh my gosh. They're like, can you call me? I just realized my brother wants to buy a house, when they would have forgotten about you normally. And it's the same thing about creating video content when properly distributed. And the properly distributed part is huge. If nobody sees your videos, who cares, right? And that's what's happening right now. You're putting your videos on Facebook and everywhere else, and nobody is seeing them because Facebook's algorithm wants you to pay to have people to pay attention. You've got to pay to play. So if you want to be seen, we should not be thinking about ourselves as real estate professionals professionals as realtors. We should be thinking about ourselves as marketers, right? We're marketers. And marketing first and real estate top producer will come second. So you've got to be able to spend a little bit of budget on your marketing business so that you can get exposure by the masses. I mean, like it's impossible, and I don't say this to brag, but you can't go anywhere in my town. And if you say, "Do you know who Krista Mashore is?" Every single person, unless they live under a rock and are blind and deaf, will say, "Absolutely, she's like the best marketing realtor around," right? And now it's to the point where I work on. So last year I only sold 90 homes. Now, for me, that's terrible, right? The year that I left real estate 4 years ago, I sold 154 homes with a transaction coordinator and an assistant. We had a buyer's agent who does about one home a month. And I was bringing my brother in to train him. So it's not like I did 154 homes with this huge team, right? My best year in the business, I did 169 homes alone with not any other licensed agents. It was just an assistant and a transaction coordinator. What I'm now, okay, because my video content is putting me in front of everyone. Last year, I don't go on listing appointments anymore. I haven't for 4 years. I don't speak to sellers. I don't speak to buyers. Selling 90 homes without actually having to speak to somebody is amazing because my video are speaking for me. I'm the face of Homes by Krista. And then my brother goes in there and he shows up. He's also on the videos with me. And now my systems and processes allow me to take myself out of my business in real estate. But people still think that I'm involved because they're seeing my content, they're seeing my updates. And then throughout the transaction, I'm also coming on, hey, don't forget tomorrow's your home inspection. Make sure the water heater is double strapped and the smoke detectors are working and the carbon monoxide detectors have batteries. So through our workflows throughout the transaction. So I'm still involved. And so if you look at like when we get our reviews, like, oh, Krista's team was so great, Josh was amazing, and they'll still mention me, even though they did not talk to me.
Sure.
So it's a way of also taking yourself out of your business eventually.
Yeah, and it's a way, right? It's a way to find leverage, right? You're creating yourself, right, in multiple places where you're in none of them, right? I think that's a different strategy, right? That's once you're looking to find leverage in your business, and I think most people are not. I think we all need to get there, but most people are not quite there yet. Most people would not, the listing leads that you're generating, in this time, in this environment, those are so valuable that I don't think most people would not pass that on to someone else, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, most women. There are a lot of top producers that are like, how do I get myself out of this? Like, how can I, how can I? But for the majority of people, this is a way for you to not just generate leads. Like, we don't want leads, we want conversions. This is a way for you to generate conversions because when people, as much as like most people that are listening to your podcast, I'm assuming they're pretty good agents. Agents that care enough about their business to listen to podcasts are good realtors. So you can say that their clients love them, they do a great job. But I guarantee you, just like it's happened to me, well, all of a sudden one day I'll show up at years before, show up at Walmart, and then there's somebody like, Krista, my God, we bought a house, we're so excited. And I'm like, oh, but you didn't use me. It's because they forgot about you. When you create video content and you properly distribute it so that it gets seen over and over and over again, you make it impossible to be forgotten. I call it the 5 R's: refer, retain, resell. You get people to refer you, you retain them as clients, and resell them with you by doing rituals and routines, right? Constantly making it impossible to be forgotten. And not only that, you're making it impossible for people not to know who you are, right? Like I don't just want my friends and family to know who I am. And that's what's happening to most people. They're creating all this content. Like, why isn't it working? Because Facebook's algorithm is only putting it in front of their friends and family. We want, mom, dad, dog. We want everyone else to see us. That's why we have to invest.
So okay. I'm 100% with you. So when you talk about digital, we spend a lot of time talking about Facebook, and I know that it sounds like you love Facebook in this way, but when we talk about digital, right, there's obviously more than just Facebook, right? We can take that same video, we can also promote it on YouTube, right? We can get into Google pay-per-click. There's lots of stuff that we can do digitally, and I think that the people that really, really succeed, right? They like you, right? They have a method, they have a strategy. Then they take that strategy and they multiply it, right? They not only do it online, right? They go from Facebook to YouTube to Google, but then they take that same strategy and apply it offline, right? And that is, the traditional stuff, right? Mailers or billboards or radio or television. How do you combine? Well, let me first ask you: when it comes to digital, what else do you focus on? Is it just Facebook? When you say digital, are you just talking about Facebook ads, or like what is the tangential stuff that you do digitally?
So we're not, so I create funnels, right? So we create landing pages and funnels. And the funnels we do both, obviously only online. The main source is through Facebook. I do put my videos on YouTube, but I don't put any ad spend behind it. We're going to start because Facebook, we're ready now. So there's so many platforms out there. The best thing to do is to pick one, to master it. And when I mean master, like I've been doing Facebook for 10 years and I haven't tried to go to another portal, because quite frankly, it's just worked so well for us, and we've put all of our eggs there. Now we're going to be venturing off. So, but we still do, like I still do monthly, 4-page brochures to my farm.
Mm.
I still do just listed cards and just sold cards. I still send, hey, here's what we've sold throughout the month to my farm. Right? They're getting stuff from me a minimum once a month, typically two.
Hmm.
So now they're seeing me in their mailboxes. They're seeing me, online. We just started doing something called geofencing, but I really can't talk to you about, the results of that yet because it's just too early on, where we will have a listing and we then take that listing and we can kind of ping all of the phone numbers in the area to have our stuff start showing up on their news feeds through Google. But again, it's very, very, very new, so I can't really talk to you about the results of it. So I mean, we just, we're using funnels, we're creating landing pages, we're using software like agent marketing, where we put the text writers on our phones, so people, our signs, people can actually text us, and it shows them everything, the website online of the home. So we're doing all that stuff too, but all that kind of comes later, right? Like it's obvious that we should be doing those kind of things, but if I can't get my phone to ring and I don't have leads, it doesn't make a difference what I do after.
Right. So how did you were you 4 years ago when you started doing this? Like why did you focus on this? When it comes to digital Facebook, just because Facebook was the monster, and you said, okay, because people have been having success on Facebook for forever. And probably 4 years ago, right, things started to change and it started to get a little more difficult. I think about 4 years ago is when Facebook said, okay, if you want to reach people outside of your sphere, your friends and family, right, you need to pay us, right?
Well, even longer than that. I've been doing Facebook for like 10 years, but 4 years ago, I left selling real estate full-time to be a full-time coach, right? So that's when the 4-year mark, but I've been doing Facebook ads for, gosh, at least 8 years.
I got it.
And it has gotten a lot harder, now from when it was beforehand. It's definitely, but it's like, you just have to learn it. And that's why it's important not to have your hands in 8 million portals, because these portals, these platforms, they change all the time. So as they change, you have to be able to adapt. And if you're trying to be on 8 different portals, unless you've got a team, it's impossible to pivot and adapt when you need to, when it changes.
I think the stuff you're talking about is not hard. It is just work, and you probably have a video outlining just the rough strategy of how to do this and what to do. What is the thing that gets in the way of people? I mean, I kind of already asked this, but I'm really interested, right? Especially because you're now coaching a bunch of people. I see people. I tell them this sort of thing, right? Because I love marketing. I'm a marketer at heart. It's all I do. But when I will tell people or outline a strategy like this, even though it's super simple, right? Go find the new taco shop, interview that guy, talk about those tacos, and then promote that however you like. And people just don't do it. What is happening in the psyche of people that even though they see you sell 100 homes a year without really trying, without really showing up, that people don't try this?
It's
Sorry,
hard.
Krista. Yeah, how do you get with the people that you do coach? How do you get them past that hump?
So it's not that it's okay. It might be a simple strategy to just create a video, like you said. Yes, it seems that way, but it doesn't mean it's easy, right? It's not easy because we get in our heads. People are fearful that they're too young, they're too old, they don't like the way they sound, their nose is big. Like they're so worried about what people are going to think. Creating video is probably one one of the hardest things that you could ever ask somebody to do. But it can be something that's overcome. It's just like anything else. It just takes practice. And so that's why we say that a great way to start is to do the 10 video text messages a day, and to do a video and then send it to your family, get their opinion on it, and just to start trying. But what I will say is that if you just start and you don't worry about all the perfection and being perfect and all this, people love imperfection. They love that you just try. And so, and you'll eventually start getting more comfortable and you'll start feeling better about it. But it's just a matter of doing it. And here's the thing, Tony, and this is why I believe coaching is so important, because people will pay me pretty darn good money to coach with me, and it'll still take them, even though I'm coaching them and we're meeting and they're going through the portal, it still takes them time to get past their own fear. And when they start seeing other people do it and they start seeing this success, it's just like the 4-minute mile. Seeing other people's success and achievement and going out there helps them do it. Right. There's a study called Change or Die. And it basically talks these doctors told this group of people, if you don't change your behavior, you're going to die. Maybe it was eating too much or drinking alcohol, or you need to cut out sugar. After a year, 9 out of 10 people couldn't do it. They reverted back to their behavior. They could not make the change. Okay. Another group had coaching, accountability, and support. Those people, 77% of them were able to make the change. So you're 7 times more likely to be able to make change, even when death is on the line, when you have the coaching, accountability, and support. So the support of peers is just like Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill says, hey, you need your mastermind team, right? Because 2 minds become 3. When you have the support of other people pushing you and encouraging you, it helps so much. And then when you see the results, it's just like marriage. Marriage is hard, but you keep working at it, right? You don't just go screw it. We got in our first fight and we're going to get divorced. You change and you modify. Videos is the same thing. If somebody had to ask me, Krista, what's the number one thing you would suggest that I should do right now to change my business? I don't care if you're a top producer wanting to go to the next level. Like we've gotten, top producers selling 100 homes to go to 300, or brand new agents that, the first, last year sold 2 houses, and they do this for 8 months and they sell 26. So it works for anybody. Video. Create video content, properly distribute it, and be consistent about it.
Right. I'm with you on that. And you touched on kind of what I was aiming at, right? Like, I think when people hire a coach, right, they want change in their lives, and they go, hey, I'm going to hire Krista. I'm going to hire Toby. I'm going to, these folks know what to do. They know how to build a business. I'm going to hire them. And some people, they come to me, and I'm sure they come to you, and they go, tell me what I should be doing, right? What am I missing? What am I not, what don't I have in my quiver? And you might look at all the things you're doing and go, you're not doing video. Right. And so you've just given them the key to success, right? You've just given them step 1 on the path to them winning in life. But there's something that I have found that people want the answer, but even though once you give them the answer, there's still something that holds them back. And maybe it's just that thing that, you outlined it, or you mentioned it earlier, right? Like, my nose is too big, or I hate the way I look, or whatever it might be, right? And I guess what I'm trying to get at is, what is the real barrier that's holding people back? Is it their mindset, right? Is this where we should be focusing on, or is it the tactics? Because I've found that I've given people the strategies, I've given the people the tactics, and nothing happens, right? I've told them how to do it, where to start, but there's something in people's psyche, there's something in their head that holds them back, and maybe it's I don't know what it is. So how do you?
Yeah, crazy. So I think mindset is a huge part of it. In fact, the first 2 weeks when someone starts our program, it's just mindset. And I learned this the hard way, because my challengers were doing better than my actual paid clients. And it was because we just missed the mindset part. We're like, oh, let me just go to all the good stuff and get you straight here. We've incorporated so much mindset into what we teach, because that's just a huge part of them being able to get to the next level. And Tony, I have had such a great darn good time today, and I love being interviewed by you. You're so good at like getting things deeper. I want to just compliment you on that. I just have a 2-minute hard stop because I have a coaching call in 2 minutes. I'm getting a little nervous.
Go get him. Well, I think you and I are going to talk later today again on your podcast, so that's fine. I have a couple more questions, but hey, Krista, thanks for taking the time out, and I wish you all the best, and I'm glad we finally connected.
You did great. You're awesome. I can't wait to see you later today.
All right. See you, Krista. Bye-bye.
Tony, bye.
Let's go.